So, welcome everyone. I would like to say a warm welcome from my side. My name is Sebastian Schwartz. I'm from the CO2 Online nonprofit organization from Berlin. Thank you very much for participating in our webinar today. It's like this is like the last webinar of the project Premium Light Pro. It's a project which started in 2016, so 3 years ago. And the aim of this project is to support public procurers, but also private procurers in giving them, like informational help about how to do the procurement, which criteria you should consider when you're doing procurement, and also develop tools and mechanisms that can help you to do like let's say more sustainable procurement, and also stick to different standards that are maybe that change all the time. Like maybe most of you know, like the public procurement or green public procurement criteria, they are always like updated from the EU, and this is also something that we considered in this project. So we developed guidelines and procurement criteria in the last 2 years. And we also developed educational measures like seminars or webinars. And in the seminars, we taught public and private procurers how to use our criteria, how you can use the tools that we developed in Premium Light Pro for your tendering. And it's our aim of the project and our goal also to make your procurement easier, and also to consider, let's say, more sustainability criteria in your procurement, because probably most of you know it. The common practice, the common way of doing things is always looking at the price or at investment costs. But when we think about LED, there are much more criteria that you need to consider, as these technology also offers you like great chances also to consider life cycling costs, recycling costs, different. You've got more options in terms of lighting planning, because you can do more with this technology. And today, we somehow bring all the tools and all the criterion guidelines that we developed in the last years together, because we developed now a tool that helps you to actually do a procurement and to evaluate different tenders. So when you're at the point, you already know you want to change the street lighting, change your indoor lighting, and you want to set up a procurement and to receive some tenders, then this tool helps you to develop a kind of weighting scheme. And you can also use this tool to weigh then afterwards the different offers that you receive. And you can somehow have like with this tool, you have like an neutral Excel tool, which you can also use to show others why you decided to choose this tender, and why other tenders didn't win this this tendering. So just like two organizational hints, like if you've got questions, you can we've got like there's a chat function. You can just post questions into this chat function, but there's also like a question function. So you can also just post questions. And when you do this, then I will see like a signal so that you're raising your hand, or that you've got a question, and then I will answer it. And if you like, you can also ask your questions directly here into this webinar. If you want to do this, please let me know. Then I will unlock your your microphone, and you can also ask me the question directly. Before we go to the tool, I just want to show you one thing about the project. Now it's loading. So for those of you who don't know Premium Light Pro, so it's an EU-funded project by the Horizon 2020 research program, and it's a project about indoor and outdoor lighting. And if you got time after this webinar, it would be great if you could check our website. So you see we've got like offers for the outdoor lighting. You see our guidelines. We have got like all the educational measures that we did. You see the presentations that we did there. There are many information about the LED technology itself, about tendering, about procurement, about the actual green public procurement standards. Then we have got best practice and regulations, but also an LED product database, which we will also show you in the end of this. So the same for indoor lighting. Great. But let's start with this introduction of this tool. So first of all, when we look at the public procurement process, you as a procurer, you've got the chance to, you have to set up different criteria that you use to evaluate the different tenders that you receive. And there are like three categories that you can use. On the one hand, you've got like eligibility criteria. So you can say the manufacturer or the tender that I received, this one has to obey different criteria, or maybe also has to stick to some certifications, or has to has experience that you can individually set up. And these are kind of, let's say, like minimum requirements that you can set up for your procurement. Then there are, of course, these performance specifications, so they are product and system specific. So if you when you look at your street lighting and you say you want some minimum requirements to be fulfilled. So if you received the tendering and you want at least a certain amount of glare, or your some LED quality requirements need to be fulfilled. So you can set up these in the performance specification. And then there's the part which is called like evaluation criteria. And that's the part where you can also compare the different offers and see, okay, here in this offer, there are in this offer, someone made like better quality, has like better quality requirements, or he has maybe the lighting or the technology also looks better, so in terms of design or aesthetics. And then in the other way, it's also maybe cheaper, or maybe they have like better maintenance costs. So you can somehow weigh all these factors against each other. And to do this, it's helpful to use a kind of matrix, or let's say like a tool, which helps you to give points to these different criteria. And actually, we will not go through this whole slide, but what we always say, like here in Premium Light Pro, we always somehow recommend like do like this 50-50 distribution. So like if you look at now in this case, especially the street lighting, it's always important to think about 50% should be about quality, and 50% should also be about economic criteria. And just like here, the recommendation, so it always depends on the case. So if you, for example, have got a main street, and in the main street, like you've got a lot of traffic, you have to have better quality of light. That's why it's recommended to put a bigger emphasis on this factor. So if you are comparing your offers, then you should look more in the main street more about the quality factor and the energy consumption, because if you got like more quality, but also if you get more traffic, you probably need to invest more energy, as these lights probably run the whole night. And in the part of investment costs is not such a big factor, as you're having like a bigger emphasis on these two factors. On the opposite, when you look like more at residential streets, or let's say like smaller streets where traffic is not that common, or only like one or two cars go around, or pedestrians walk by, then the part of investment costs is of course much more important. Quality is not that important factor, and also energy consumption is still like a high factor. So as you see, like when you do your when you do your procurement, then you can choose from street to street, or if you are thinking about indoor lighting from room to room, always look at the use of it, and then you can decide, okay, what's the important factors, what are the criteria that I need to emphasize the most, and which one are important, and do I need to compare to each other to have like to make a good decision. And to make a good decision, we develop these matrix, or like this assessment matrix. I will show it to you now. So this is as it looks like. So when you open it, it's an Excel tool with macros. So just like one thing beforehand, you can't use it with all Mac versions. So you need to have like a Windows version. But there are also some Mac versions where it works. I can send you afterwards an email with which Mac versions this can work. But actually, if you got like Windows, Microsoft on your computer, then it definitely works. Looking at this tool, at first hand, of course, you've got like the language selection. Right now, as this project took place in UK, Europe, Czech Republic, then Denmark, Germany, Italy, Poland, Portugal, Austria, and Spain. We only offer these languages. You see, Spain is missing right now, but we will upload this today. But you still have got the option, for example, if you're from Belgium or Hungary or Latvia, then you still have the option to add your language. So you see the basic language is English, but there's also this one tab down there, which is called language. And you got the option just in this orange field to add your language. So it's like totally dynamic, and there are no limits. So you can add all the languages that you would like to add. So when we start with doing like the procurement, so first of all, we need to start a project. So we are, for example, now in a village, and we want to do a project. Now I call it great street lighting, and you've got the option to add several streets. So by pushing like this button, add street, you add streets. And in the beginning, you can also say which of these streets is more important or has like a bigger factor for your procurement. Right now, I made like an equal distribution. So every street got like 100 points, but you can also say the main street is more important. And if I receive a tender and in this tender, like he has got the main points in the main street, then he should also win the whole procurement. So you can also say, for me, the main street is like the most important street. Then you just give this 200 points. Then it's important that you press the enter button. And you see automatically there's like a new distribution. So in your procurement, the main street has like a factor of 50%, and the small street and like the one-way street has only 25%. But right now, as it's better for this presentation, I will just do it equal again. So it's not limited, so you can add as many streets as you would like. And there's also one thing that you can do. For example, when you compare the different tenders in the end, and you, for example, you just wanted to know how do all these tenders compare only in the main street, then you can also deactivate some streets. So you can also like do it like this, and then it's not active. So this street is not like considered in the whole waiting process. But of course, right now we still activate it. So then, as you see, like this matrix always works like this, that for every button that you press, like a new window pops up, and you can also just like very dynamically put them next to each other. And here you've got this tree view. You've got like the main street, you've got the small street. You see all of them, and what we've got down over up here, these are like we call them KO criteria or KO category. Actually, what we mean with this is like the minimum requirements. So these are the requirements that every tender has to fulfill. So if someone doesn't comply to the ISO 9001, or if he hasn't, or if the offer the guy who offers this hasn't done 5 comparable projects in the last 3 years, then he will not be considered for this whole procurement. So these are like these requirements that has to be fulfilled. Otherwise, this tender will not be considered in the whole procurement process. And so when you did this, you can just here in this tree view add like several categories. Like go with your right mouse button, you can just like add a category or delete a category. And if you like right now, if you set up one street with all your criteria and you set up a new street, then all these criteria will be overtaken from the street before. So it's like recommended to do like one street which has got a lot of criteria in it, and then add other streets so your criteria are overtaken all the time. So you don't need to do this job like several times. For example, if you get 5 or 6 streets, so you just do the job one time, and then the streets get copied. So then, looking at the input. So when we look at our like we made this procurement, now where we received the different tenders, and we want to input their data into this matrix. Then it's quite easy. You can see we've already added like four tenders, but you can delete one, you can add one just by pushing this, and then yeah, you see new provider. Now nothing is in there, so we just call them like test one and add different yeah, add all these different these inputs and see, okay, how does he match with the other ones. But now we will delete it to show how it's actually looking like. And there you see you've got like these you've got the different criteria that we added here. You've left the possibility to tick boxes or to insert values. And in the end, when you see a ranking, you see here how they compare to each other. So right now, I forgot to tell you like one important thing. So actually, you're probably wondering like how did he set up like all these criteria? So when we've got like this tree view and we insert one category, we push it. Here you can like adjust your categories. So this one we call lighting category. We gave it we get a max points, and then we have the possibility to either make an KO criteria or to make it like calculated like it's right now, to give like a max value. For example, if you want to say the highest quality criteria is the best, then it compares all the different tenders with the quality criteria and says like, okay, this is the best offer. Or if you, for example, look at prices and you say the minimum value is good, then it's the other round, and the lowest value will be rated as the most. And then if you say truth value, for example, if you say this criteria needs to be fulfilled, or truth value can be like, for example, when you look at design, so you say like, okay, the design is high, the design is low, the design is it's not aesthetic, it's not real design, and you can do like this truth value, and then you will see in these data input sections some tick boxes that you can tick, and if someone doesn't fulfill this truth value, then you do not click this truth value. Right now, as I was jumping right now back into the tree, for if something was confusing and if you got questions, please let me know. Then I can explain it to you again. So we will just like go one category down, like here we're now in the economic criteria is costs. Here, for example, you can see how what I was talking about with these four different categories down there. So you have like the criteria material cost, which is part of your big part of the investment costs. You say, okay, I give it 40 points. Like the points are not limited. You can also give it 400 points, depending on how important this factor is for you. Always make it active. And then we did like here, the minimum value is good, which means the lowest material costs get the highest points, the highest rating. Yeah. And looking at the comparison, so right now here, when you do this ranking, when you open the ranking window, you can always see how your tenders that you put inside, how they compare to each other. So right now we see that Penny is on number one. But we can also influence this. For example, if we say now in the data input section, for example, that we say Penny maybe doesn't comply to, she has not, Penny doesn't have the possibility to deliver 10,000 pieces at once. So we like unlock these KO category, and you see directly that Penny is not rated anymore, and suddenly Camp is like gets like on the first place. So here you got the rating in different positions. So number one, number two, number three, number four. And as you saw it right now, if like one of these tenders doesn't fulfill one KO category, it's totally we totally take it out of the whole rating. So it's not considered anymore in this whole rating. Here you see the points that everyone received. And also down there, you see the comparison of the points in the little, in the street levels. So we go back. Yes. So there's one last option, which is important for the beginning of your procurement, but also for the end of the procurement. So in the beginning, when you set up the project, so with all the streets, and when you are defining your weighting, so when you made this tree view, so you set up all the streets, you set up all your criteria, you were doing the rating, you have the possibility to do the data output. When you're pushing this button, a new window new Excel file will open up. So as we see it right now, we are still working on the design of this Excel file. So right now you see it like that, but we will make it more organized, but actually so that it's that it's better for you to use it in your procurement. But here you see now this data sheet with all the data of these tenderers. But if you, of course, if you haven't put in any data inside, and if you haven't put in any tender of that, then you just see these categories and you see here the rating factors. So that's something that you can also use for your publication of your tender. And then the other people know, okay, how you are rating different points, what's important for you in which street, which criteria are the ones that you are looking at the most in your procurement. And that's something you can use for your public procurement. As I said, right now we made an example for street lighting, but of course you can also use this tool for other projects. You can also use it for indoor lighting, for example, or some other procurement processes. But right now, as Premium Light Pro has a focus on street and indoor lighting, we definitely made made something here for the street lighting, so they see how it can be used. Okay, so actually, only 5 options. They're quite, I think, quite easy to see. And it's also a tool which is really dynamic. So there's no you can add as many tenders as you want. So there's no limitation to 6 or 7 tenders. You can also add 20 or 30, and it's designed very open. So you can also use it and adapt it to your needs that you need in your procurement. So that's so far everything from my side for this tool. So explained quite shortly. We will also what we will do. We will publish this tool again with a short manual so that you can also see all the functions that it has got. And what we always recommend, as I showed you in the beginning, on the Premium Light Pro page, you can see the guidelines and also our procurement criteria that we developed. And we recommend you also to use this criteria because when you're looking at the guidelines, but also at the criteria, you already see some recommendations and see what kind of values should I look at, which are the important criteria that need to be considered in my street or indoor lighting procurement. And we also make recommendations about KO factors, about different factors concerning design, recycling. So right now, as you see it here, I only chose some criteria, but for your procurement, it will be much more. So there will be much more, of course, more criteria that you will probably consider. So any questions so far to this matrix? If not, we will go on and show you the database, which is on premiumlightpro.eu. Otherwise, yeah, feel free to ask. You also have got the option to raise your hand. There's like this raise your hand button. Okay. Don't look like that we've got any projects, any questions. So then I will hand over to you, Andrea.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Come.
So just to introduce you to one of the tools we have developed in this Premium Light project. I'm Andrea Roscetti from Politecnico di Milano, one of the project partner of the Premium Light Pro initiative. Just to show you that in the indoor lighting section, we have a product database subsection, and this allows you to have an insight in products. We have a database for outdoor and indoor, and a third-party tested product database. So we have two options. In this case, we have one option more, let's say, dedicated to the German market or Austrian and Switzerland, more this kind of market with a limited number of manufacturers on board. What is interesting in this case is that is a lot of products that are tested by a third-party lab, so it's something that is really controlled. On the other hand, we have a much broader database. We are approaching right now more and more manufacturers to have them on board, and this is the LumiSpec database. Is this one, and like in any other database, you can see country-specific products or markets, let's say, or on the other end, you can choose the lamps or luminaire and brands and a lot of features. So it's something that is increasing in numbers, and we are promoting it since we are aware that is there really not much information regarding products and regarding availability of good and high efficient products. So it's something that we have to show to, especially in the tertiary sector, to all the experts. So that's it from my side. I don't know if you have something to say in addition, Sebastian.
No, thanks. That's like, so thank you very much. So just that you know that you can use all these tools are for free. So it will not cost you anything. And in case, yeah, as it looks like that there are no questions right now, you can still write us an email. You will see my email will be sent to you after this webinar, and I will also send you the link to the matrix so that you can use it. And we would be very happy, just in case, because right now the matrix is like the, let's say, the second draft. So it would be great in case that you see any problems in usage, or if you see, okay, there are one or two things that can be made better in the programming of it. And it would be great to receive some feedback from you. And we are really happy in improving this tool and giving you, yeah, something that you can use to make your lighting procurement easier. So then, so far, there's nothing anymore from my side.
Yeah, just something to add, Sebastian. If we can share also the macOS version, yes, because sometimes people is using both systems, so it's not not always PC based. But this could be a good solution to spread it more and more. So thanks.
Yeah. Let's do this. Okay. So then, thank you very much. I wish you all a great Tuesday, and enjoy the rest of the summer. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.